What's up, guys? Before we begin this fire podcast that we know you're going to love, make sure you check us out on tour. We have an epic show that we know you're going to love. It is coming to a city near you. We're in San Diego next. Come out and see us at the Mic Drop Comedy Club. Get your tickets at chadandjt.com. We're going to Ohio after that. We got Appleton, Wisconsin coming up. We got Oklahoma coming up. We got Tulsa, all that good stuff. And some new dates coming soon. Also, Irvine in September. If you're in the Irvine area, get that ticket link now. Guys, you do not want to miss these shows. Check them out at chadandjt.com. And also hit the hotline. Make sure you hit the hotline. Leave a voicemail, 323-418-2019. That's the hotline. Leave a voicemail at 323-418-2019. All right, let's start the show. What's with me? All right, marinate the pork chop and slap my pickle. What's up, Stokers of Stoke Nation? This is Chad Kroger coming in with the Going Deep with Chad JT podcast. I'm here with my compadre, Jean Thomas. What up?
Boom, clap, Stokers.
We're here with Sam Morril. Dude, thank you for joining the pod.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, fired up to have you.
It's fun. And cheers, by the way.
Yeah, so this is your whiskey, right?
Yeah, Bodega Cat.
All right.
Cheers.
What was the process of like getting this? Sorry.
So easy. The process was so easy. Mark and Norman and I have a podcast where we just drink, and we were talking like, well, we should have our own drink. And Mark's like, how would we do that? And literally a million emails came in of just like drunks being like, I can do it. Some people didn't even have like distilleries. Yeah. But then the ones that had like legitimate setups were like, oh, this guy's a distillery. We can do this. And yeah.
Did you sample them and like refine your palate and whatnot?
We're such trash bags that we were sampling it. And we didn't realize you're not supposed to swallow it. So we're like doing a March Madness style bracket. We're like, we got to put this against this one now. And yeah, we were wasted. But we ended up, we're like, this is the one for sure. So,
And you came up with the name and everything?
Yeah. It was supposed to be Fat Cat, but then someone else was like, well, you have to pay us because we have a wine. If it was a beer, it didn't matter, but if there was a wine, we had to. Yeah. And then Bodega Cat, people were like, well, how will people know what a bodega is? And you know, I'm like, well, does anyone know what a fucking whistle pig is? No, but people drink that stuff.
Right.
So
yeah, it's bodega. That's city-specific language to New York. It doesn't travel
like a
to
corner
Kansas
store.
or
But
something.
people have bodegas in Kansas. They just don't call it that.
It just sounds cool. All it has to do is sound cool, I think.
I just thought it's something that makes you happy when you see it. So you go into a bodega late at night, and a little cat will pop out from behind the box, and you're wasted. You just like pet a cat, and you're like, oh, that made me happy.
That's very sweet.
You just think of like a happy thing. Mark and I were like, Bodega Cat.
Yeah. It's very literary. I like that.
Yeah.
You studied English, right?
I mean, yeah, I did like kind of. It was like ancient comedy stuff, like ancient Greek stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So you were always interested in comedy and you wanted to get to the origins of it?
I think I didn't know what to do. Yeah, I just was like, this is something to do that sounds legitimate.
Who's the funniest dude from ancient Greece?
Jeez, Aristophanes probably.
You beast. Killer. Monster,
Well,
bro.
you read this shit and it's like, you're like rape joke, fart joke.
Dude, a lot of that.
Yeah. People were like, you should be canceled. I'm like, you guys should check out 4000 BC Greece because they were doing the same shit.
Yeah. I don't know if
there were probably like people writing shit back then who were like, we need to get rid of Aristophanes. But back then they were probably like fucking boys.
Yeah. Like,
which is kind of similar to now.
Yeah, they're like, this is what I actually do.
Yeah.
But they were more out in the open about the boys stuff.
Yeah.
It was more accepted.
Yeah.
It was like highbrow back then.
Yeah, they were like, Alexander the Great was doing it. That was like a status symbol. If you fuck boys, you were like a conqueror.
You're a made guy.
Yeah, for sure.
I was reading I don't know if it was Aristophanes, but this one intellectual back then was talking shit to another guy, and he's like, first you will say my paper is better, and then I will butt fuck you.
Yeah, that's what they used to do. There was this guy, Archilochus, who would that was like rap battles, but old like white dudes. Mm-hmm. And
so we started it.
Yeah,
the blacks took it
we
from
started
us.
it. Yeah. Hey, if you're listening, you like hip hop, you're welcome. No, that he would talk so much shit. He called this woman like, I guess he was like in love with this woman, and her family didn't, and you could fact check this, I could be wrong here, but it was something along the lines of like the family didn't accept him, and he wrote a thing shaming all of them, and they all killed themselves.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was like that type of shit.
That's a powerful letter.
Guy's got rhymes, yo.
Wow.
That was like that girl who convinced that boy to kill himself, and she ended up going to jail
That
like
movie?
a decade ago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She deserved to go to jail.
For sure. I just didn't know what the sentence should be. I'm like, because
Yeah.
it's not quite murder. Like, the guy was somewhat complicit in his
I mean,
own
he was
death.
dumb, for sure. No offense if anyone here was friends with him. I don't know, listening. But, I mean, you
His
can't.
brother listens in.
His brother says this is his one escape from that reality.
I mean, technically, he went deep. He went 6 feet under. So that's deep. But, you know, she was a psycho bitch. Like, to feel no remorse and to just, you know.
I think the judge said that at the sentencing.
Yeah.
He's like,
That's, I think, why they thought she was going to get off with it.
Oh, really?
Well, it seemed like in the doc. I remember watching that doc. That was like, by the way, at the end of true crime. I can't do true crime.
We talked about this with Norman last week.
Really?
Just how I think it's insensitive to do all these true crime things because
It's a lot. It's just too many. The Murdoch one was pretty good. I watched that one on Netflix.
Well, now they get these guys. I know, like Thin Blue Line, kind of same deal. But now they'll find the documentary will prove these people are guilty and put them in jail. It's kind of a social good.
I don't know how they timed it for the trial, but that was incredible. You're just watching.
right.
You're just watching the cable news, and he's there, and then you're like, oh, Netflix.
Yeah.
No wonder it's trending. It's fucking
Nice
everywhere.
supplemental piece for sure.
It's I don't even know if my issue is that it's insensitive. I mean, it definitely is. My issue is that it's oversaturated to the point that you're just like, it's literally a dead person, and you're like, get to it. You know, you're like bored.
Yeah.
They try to stretch it into like 10 episodes.
Yeah, totally.
I watched the Boston Marathon one, and I was like, this might be insensitive. I've like seen it before. Like, I don't know. There's just like, they take you through it, and you're like, I don't. It's like kind of the same structure, and you're like, all right, I know what's coming. I know where it's headed.
I did a Boston Marathon joke in my half-hour Comedy Central special in Boston right after it happened.
Oh, you did?
And it did not work. I remember it was something like, I remember it killed at the Comedy Cellar so hard because I was so terrified when I went. So I got cocky.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to fucking do this in my special in Boston. And it was like silence.
Yeah.
It was something like, man, I was so devastated when I saw the news. My first thought was, me and my brother, we don't do anything together anymore.
That's a really good joke.
It fucking got crickets in Boston. They were just like,
Did you follow up and be like, did you not laugh because you didn't like the joke or because you guys are still sad about the tragedy?
I moved on. I was like, let me get
keep
something
it
back. Yeah, it was weird.
Where in your set, because that's during your special too, did you feel like you lost momentum there, or were you able to?
No, I got it back.
Yeah.
And also, they sweeten that shit in
Right,
Comedy
right.
Central. It's funny when you get comments where people are like, this is sweetened, and you're like, no, it's not. But in those, yeah, they would actually sweeten it.
Right.
People used to get really upset about the edits on those too, right? Like I heard Jimmy Pardo, he does all crowd work. They didn't put any crowd work in his.
What?
And this was
just a 2-minute
decades
special.
ago. Exactly.
No, we, I you know what I hated about that? That's back when specials were on TV. So you're literally, the edit is like, I'm in the middle of a story and then just went to commercial.
Yeah.
I remember for my first Comedy Central, I did an hour special with Comedy Central, and I had to do 3 edits. Because you had to do like the regular one for whatever, then you do the 50-minute version, which is the extended release, which they air, and then they had another one that they would do. We'll air this less, but this is a 40 or 42-minute version. So
Right.
3 different edits takes forever.
Yeah.
Also, it's like, that's not, imagine that's how you make you don't make a movie for TV where you're like, well, I'll do a commercial. This is a scene, I'll do a commercial.
Yeah.
You know? But I can't watch movies unless it's like HBO or like.
Oh, you don't like doing one of those like 5-hour Braveheart sessions
I
on
hate
TBS?
it. I hate it.
I like it because you just know it's going to take. There's something comforting to me about like, this is my entire Saturday now.
I hate it because you'll watch like Casino instead of Fuck You. They're like, forget you. I'm like, this sucks.
There's something, we were talking about this earlier though, there's something about the USA Network and TNT. There's a comfort level to those
Well,
channels.
if it's like SVU, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember the shows on there like Burn Notice, Franklin and Bash.
Yeah.
Solid
Franklin
show.
and Bash.
Challenging stuff.
Wasn't that based off like Dennis Lehane? Who was that
I don't
based
know.
off?
I was going to ask you which authors you liked, and he was going to be one of the ones I guessed.
Oh, really?
Do you
Yeah, I
like
like
Richard
him.
Price too?
I don't really. Wait, what did Richard Price write again?
He did like Lush Life, Clockers. You know, I was going to guess
I know
Richard
who he
Price,
is, yeah.
but Lahane's kind of, they're similar. They both wrote on
Yeah.
The Wire together too.
Yeah, no, I like Lehane. He's good.
Yeah, his stuff's badass. I read one of his short stories where like a son has to kill his own dad in the end, and he puts glue in the dad's clip, and the dad's like, "Gun's not gonna work, is it?" And I was like, "Dude, this is the fucking most badass shit I've ever read."
Oh yeah, he's cool. That's like that grimy Boston stuff. It's fun.
Yeah, he's responsible for a lot of the great movies now of the last couple decades.
It's pretty crazy, right?
Do you
Yeah.
think New York or Boston's a better movie city?
I mean, definitely New York, but just if we're going like all time for sure. But Boston's got some great. I mean, I love The Town, and I love The Departed. Like, that's one of those movies I can't not watch if it's on TV. It's just so fucking fun. Damn, yeah, I love I love a lot of Boston movies, but New York all time. Come on, Dog Day Afternoon, The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, the original one.
Yeah.
So many good New York.
Very grimy, too.
We got all Scorsese for the most part.
That's when they used to put ugly people in movies, too. They don't do that as much now.
Oh, man, Walter Matthau was a lead. If you don't know who Walter Matthau is and you're listening, look him up and you're going to be like, that guy was a fucking lead actor?
But there was something about him, right? Like
He's amazing.
He had like a charisma, but it was like an everyman charisma.
I know, back then, like, every dude could look like Kathy Bates. You know, like, it was something crazy about, like he was like, Dustin Hoffman was a lead?
That was nuts.
This dude's like, and then he'd be like a tough guy in some movies. You're like, this fucking dude?
Yeah, him, Pacino, Pesci, they're all pint-sized, but you believe them as
But
tough
Pesci
guys.
you believe for the most.
Yeah, which is crazy. I guess he just grew up around those guys, so he
Yeah.
understood how to like mimic that energy. But he's one of the smallest guys alive.
Yeah.
But I would not want to fight Nicky Santoro. Fuck me up in a fight, dude.
Yeah, I watched My Cousin Vinny last night.
Great movie.
So
Great
good.
movie.
The best.
One of the best movies.
Dude, when he's when he's first meeting the guys in jail and the guy thinks he's about to fuck him.
Yeah.
And he's like, "This is your ass, not mine." He's like, "You're just gonna jerk me off here." It's like,
dude.
that movie.
That's classic.
Yeah.
Do you write screenplays and stuff like that?
Not really. I mean, I've written stuff before, but like I stand-up takes up so much of my energy that like I want to do stuff like that at some point, but I need a minute to chill, you know?
Yeah, you need to get into like deep focus to be able to really do it right.
And also, that's not how you even get anything made. You find out, like, you're like, I wrote a screenplay, and people are like, come up with a pitch, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah, isn't
all
that
right.
weird? I was writing something and like people who, I was just embarrassed to say, my manager, he was like, write it as a pitch. I was like, I'd rather write the script. And they were encouraging me to put it into pitch format.
I know.
But that doesn't feel as like creatively nourishing, for lack of a better phrase.
Yeah, no, we want to create. That's because they're asking you to do a business thing, and you want to do the artistic thing.
Yeah, and I'll figure out those other things after I do the artistic
Well, you
thing.
probably could do that, but they're probably telling you, like, this might be a waste of time.
Right. It's definitely a waste of time.
Yeah.
but a worthwhile one.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to put your energy where you want to put your energy and not expect it to work, I think.
It's tough. It's tough to not expect it to work. My brain just instantly wants to believe that everything has like immense potential.
But it might work. I mean, like I worked on a show with Dana Gould, and I loved the show we made. It was like a really funny idea, and we spent like 7 months on it, and we couldn't sell it anywhere. And it was like, but that time wasn't wasted. I learned a lot from working with someone like that. So
And he's a genius. Like
I
he's one of
love
the-
him, and he's also like, we're now like, I feel like friends for life. So you get stuff out of even the things that feel like they're going nowhere.
Yeah, if you're working with cool people who have different brains. that
And then
can
if you
add to
do
yours.
bad stuff, that bad stuff will shape decisions for the future too. Not to get to like that sounds like Dalai Lama-ish right now.
No, I think that's true, right? Because like even I don't know why it popped up, but like Hemingway, he like wrote a bomb, and then in the wake of that, he wrote The Old Man and the Sea in like a week, just to like make himself feel better.
Yeah, that guy. I mean,
Good hang.
Do you think good hang? I don't know. Do you think he would have gotten as much work done if he was in our age? Like if people were like just texting Hemingway like pictures of cats that look like Tommy Lee Jones? Do you think he'd be able to like bang out piece after piece? Because he would have to disappear. He'd have to go to Cuba.
Right.
Did you see that PBS documentary?
I
on him?
did, yeah.
It's incredible.
It's really good.
It's like, and then him.
All the
I love
poems
it-
are that his mom dressed him as a girl when he was a kid. I know. That's like the root of it. No commentary there.
I love that might have fucked him up worse than war.
Well, he was good. Yeah, he fell in love with that nurse, and
Yeah.
she was married. Those wartime romances sound powerful.
Yeah, he doesn't. None of these guys. It's funny. All these like great artists are like, man, they are not good to women. Maybe that's the secret. Just be a self-indulgent piece of shit, and
Well, that was like the defining way to write back then too. It's like every great novel from that era is just a dude being like, "Man, I'm horny as fuck," but like in the most beautiful language possible.
Yeah, that's like the have and have not. I always think it's hilarious when they outlaw books. It's like that's the only way you're going to get kids to read. If you're like, you can't read Mouse anymore, or you can't read, what was the ones they were?
Yeah, there's this pool
Outlawing
boy
and-
one right now that's like getting ripped out of libraries because there's like a guy on guy BJ scene in it.
I mean, what will make a kid want to read a book more than being like, this is outlawed?
Yeah, because we used to hunt that shit. Like when you get the Diary of Anne Frank, I remember I wasn't going to touch it because I just didn't pay attention. Then all my homies were like, bro, there's a gay scene in it where she kisses a girl. And I was like, what page?
Yeah, some dude in the
that's
fucking
awesome.
alley, like, yo, I got Anne Frank. I got, it's got all that
Whatever
good
you
Jewish
need,
shit, dude.
Yeah, I don't know if I think he still would have written as much, but I think they would have been more boring stories. Like he wouldn't have gone to war, he wouldn't have traveled.
I know.
It would have
Well,
been
the
him.
war stuff's his best stuff, right? I mean, it's, that's like the raw shit.
Yeah, he's in there.
All those guys went to war. Isn't it crazy to think about what pussies we are? Like
think
that
about it all
ruined
the
like
time.
J.D. Salinger and all.
Yeah. I've been watching a lot of World War One movies. I mean, it's crazy, like the shit they went through.
Yeah,
And-
their lives, they would have to take like shits in the, it would just smell like shit or dead bodies.
Yeah,
That's,
and then for us, it's like to like interrupt your life for like 4 years just to go and like you watch like Saving Private Ryan. It's like how do you reintegrate back into the world after that?
oh, dude. I mean, back then you went to war, and now it's like you gotta put your phone down for 2 hours. You're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm on a flight without Wi-Fi, and I'm like, this is
I lose my
brutal.
mind.
Yeah.
I'm going. If you're hungover on a flight without Wi-Fi, and then I start doing those comparisons. Like I'll be like, this is like fuck it, and then you're like, it's
Yeah.
not like a death camp, but it feels bad.
The agita is at that level though. Like
Yeah.
I'm crawling out of my skin. It's brutal.
When you're hungover and you have that anxiety, you just need a friend to be like, I'm fucking struggling. And then you need them to be like, I'm sorry. You just need that.
That's huge. Yeah, we do that for each other when we're hungover. You just need someone to hold you. You just need a little body-on-body contact. It's for real. That'll
I remember
braid you
watching
through the day.
watching like Fury, and they're just drinking whiskey in the tank.
Yeah, like us.
The hangover from that, I can't imagine waking up hungover and like
I gotta fight a war today.
you're in France and the
Yeah.
Nazis are coming.
By the way, shout out to John Bernthal, badass Jew.
No, is he a Jew?
Exactly.
Wow,
Dude, I
I
Oh,
didn't know
yeah.
that.
He is a phenomenal actor. I think
Yeah.
he's great. But
I was on radio with him. It was like a news story. I was on Jim Norton's show the morning. He was trashing. He was like the first guy to start the Kevin Spacey.
Oh,
like,
really?
Oh, wow.
Because I guess they worked on Baby Driver, and he was like, that guy's a bad dude.
Really?
And everyone was like, ooh, okay. And I guess he's big enough that it took off with all these news things.
Yeah.
It's like John Bernthal says Kevin Spacey sucks, and I was
Right.
like, I was just like, oh, I was there for that. That was weird.
and he's kind of one of the only actors who's like a throwback to that 70s like authentic masculinity where he does feel like a genuine tough guy.
Yeah, no, I like him. I think he's cool.
Yeah, just a voice.
Why
for me.
did you have beef with him though?
No, that was my beef. Is I just don't like his podcast voice.
I watched the Shia LaBeouf movie Honey Boy though, and it's like that guy. I know he's like a child actor, but that's like I would not want that fucking childhood for a second. That looked terrible.
Yeah, getting pied in the face and like humiliated on set.
I mean, just the dad sucked.
yeah.
Did you watch his podcast or you listen to it with Bernthal?
Yeah, didn't he get in trouble for like domestic abuse or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to pillarize anyone, but I think he's really good at talking about his fuck ups. But at a certain point, I'm like, you just got to stop fucking up,
Yeah.
no matter how eloquent you are.
Well-
Is that a bitch move by me to criticize
No, I
him?
think there are people like it's funny. I was watching that scene in The Town because we were talking about The Town earlier. I was on the road with Dina Hashem, who would open for me sometimes on the road, and there's that scene where he's like giving that speech to Rebecca Hall, and it's like, I messed up. I'm like, this dude must have mastered that shit.
Right.
I feel like how many times has he like done this?
Had to
like,
give this speech
Jennifer
to a gal.
Garner. He's just like, I fucked some strippers. I messed up. And then he's like, that I'm gonna use that. I could use that. And yeah, at a certain point, actors they're famous for being liars. They're charming.
Right.
And we like them because they're good at reading words, but like their job is to make us like them.
and to be
they're good at
compelling,
it.
and to like take their like war wounds and make them relatable to all of us.
So I totally get. I mean,
it
yeah,
feels a
don't
bit
hit,
like a grift to me.
I don't mean to be polarizing, but like, don't hit women, dude.
That's what I'm saying,
That's
dude.
fucking
But I love
crazy.
Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck's like my hero.
He's great. I think he's awesome.
Yeah, did you see Air?
No, it looks awesome.
Oh, dude, you'd love it.
I know. It's like, I feel like it was made for me, but I'm part of the problem because I'm so mad no one goes to movie theaters anymore because it's killing good movies. But then I don't really go to movie theaters anymore.
Yeah, it is a bummer. The state of film. Like A.O. Scott from the New York Times quit because he said there's no more good movies.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, he's the top film critic in the country, and he was like, "There's no movies for me to review." Because I used to review movies like Air, Michael Clayton, like these mid-tier movies, like budget-wise, and now it's just all Marvel, and it just
Wow. Yeah, it must be annoying.
It saddened the
He
fuck
probably
out of me.
hates his job now. But it's funny. Critic was like, that was a job, like a real serious. Now, anytime someone's a critic, I'm like, what do you make, like $400 a month? Like, what the hell are you criticizing? And it's anytime someone's like a critic, I'm like, are you homeless? I remember loving that show, The Critic, the John Lovett show. But can you imagine? He like was rich on that show.
Yeah.
And now you're like, that guy would be fucking poor as hell. all the critics, you watch old movies. You ever see that movie, The Sweet Smell of Success?
It's amazing.
Amazing movie, but that was like the days of like, I will destroy you in my column. And you're just like, can you imagine someone saying that to you now? You'd just be like, oh, just put it on YouTube. I'll be
there's
fine.
one of a million.
Yeah.
Same thing with like the news. I remember when I was a kid, I saw one of the guys from the news, like the local news at the grocery store. He was like the biggest celebrity I've ever seen. Like
those got like 8 million views or
crazy.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not really any prestigious job left in America.
Dude, yeah.
I was thinking about it. Like
we're drinking right now. There's nothing left.
Like
it's over.
Even doctors, like I think people don't really respect doctors. Like everything is kind of.
They do, but also like, I don't know. It's all doctors are such fucking assholes. So like, if you're,
dude, I don't like the way they talk to people. It pisses me off.
Well, there needs to be a course in medical school. Maybe make it a 2-week course. Bedside manner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, communication.
Be a decent fucking human. People are nervous when they're talking to you and they're scared for their life. You're just sitting in there for hours.
Well, they'll. I feel like they always live on the extremes where it's like you're gonna die or you're a pussy. You know?
I know.
It's like there's never that in between where I guess they'll say like you're fine.
Well, they've had to train themselves to be robots.
Yeah.
Because if they felt compassion, they would probably just collapse.
They couldn't take on the toll of all that.
Yeah, no, they're just like, you're not going to make. Oh fuck! Like if they had to do that with every patient,
dude,
it would be insane.
One time I sprained my wrist snowboarding. My dad's a hand surgeon, and and he told my siblings, I'm one of 7. He told them he's like he either sprained it or he's never gonna have full use of his hand again. They all started crying.
Wow.
Yeah, but I just sprained it and I got Percocet, so I was chilling.
That's fucking great.
Yeah,
Percocet's
but
awesome.
he definitely goes between the extremes.
Drinking on those drugs is excellent.
Oh yeah, well I just took all of them.
That's great.
I was in college. I took 5 at a time.
You know that Nick DiPaolo joke? It's like an old bit I love where he'd say, I went to the ER and I don't want to say the line was long, but the guy in front of me, they were like, is there a John Quincy Adams here? And I said, it's going to be 3 hours. He goes, how are you going to pay for this? With my life if you don't pick up the pace. It's just perfect.
You know DiPaolo, right?
I haven't seen him in forever, but I knew him when I was a young comic, and he had some great jokes. I mean, he was like a classic throwback
one of the best
comedian. Yeah.
When we went on our first road trip, we listened to his album the whole way.
Yeah, I was dying when I first heard he had this Rosie O'Donnell joke. I can't remember it verbatim, but I would love to see that guy live.
I remember he had a joke about Rosie O'Donnell. I think it was like the day Osama bin Laden got shot. And he was like, because he used his wife as a human shield, and he goes, if only he was married to Rosie O'Donnell, he'd still be alive. I'm like, man, that's like a perfect topical joke.
Yeah.
He's a classic. I don't
have a problem with her eting pussy. I just don't know when it got so fattening.
Yeah, dude.
He's a classic. Yeah, he was an intimidating type of guy because I'd heard he could be a dick to comics. Mm-hmm. And then when I met him, he was like the nicest, most friendly guy ever.
Yeah.
He hosted a show I did on Access TV live. And I had a good set, and he was hosting, and he was like so nice. And we had a couple drinks after. And then, I used to go on his radio show back in the day, and we would just argue politics. And he's so right-leaning, and I was so the opposite. But it was like, it would just result in fun, hilarious conversation because he wasn't a dick about it, so we would just be laughing the whole time, you know?
Yeah, that's kind of been lost too, right?
That's why I like talking with him, because I was like, this is a dude that we don't have that much in common, but we just both love comedy, so we just like got along really well, and I always liked him a lot for that reason.
Were you ever at the Cellar during that time when there was that one table in the back that just roasted everyone?
I started working there. No, I wasn't there for that. I was at the Comedy Cellar. I started there in 2011, and which, holy shit, I've been there a while. And that was gone. Patrice died. Bill Bird moved to LA. I got a little bit of it, but it was so light. I mean, I remember the night I auditioned at the Comedy Cellar, I was nervous, and Keith Robinson, who's like one of the funniest people, and like he's one of the last of those like ball busters, but he's so fun about it. There's no malice. It's just like funny as hell.
Yeah.
And he was shitting on me. I was nervous, and he was like, look how scared he is, and everyone was laughing at me, and I was like, yeah, I'm fucking nervous. This isn't, and I was like, this isn't helping. But I was cracking up like later that night. But Colin Quinn and Keith would make fun of me, but that was like the best feeling, because you're like, oh, they're like this is how they like accept you.
They're paying attention to you.
Yeah, so that was like a cool feeling when you're young. But then I miss Patrice and Bill Burr and like, you know, Norton would a little bit, but Jim isn't really like shit on the young guys. He wasn't like that really.
Yeah.
But all those like, yeah, I mean like a little bit, but it was like, it was only if you really took a misstep, you know.
Right.
They would keep you honest. They're so
like regulators about that stuff.
yeah, if you say something pretentious or all like they would just I remember I went into the cellar once and I just seen 12 Years a Slave and I was like, man, it was excellent. And Keith Robinson goes, excellent, fuck you. And it was just like, I was like, yeah, that's not the right word. Just like they would just like beat up on you if you had like the wrong word
It's the right
choice.
word depending on the environment, I guess.
Maybe if you're A.O. Scott,
Yeah,
not if
'cause that
you're
movie
me.
rips. Yeah. Although
so-
that's also a weird way to describe it.
Yeah, it's weird and but yeah, they were just funny, man. Like I missed out the real like hack court. They used to do like hack court where they would like take your bit and break
Really?
down if it's hack or not.
Yeah.
So like, is he a hack?
Yeah.
And like that, we missed that. But like, you know, I think they were even doing like late night at comic show. We were like meaner to each other, but it wasn't like ever. I never left like they hate me. I left more like, gotta be funnier, you know?
Yeah.
You wrote that one article that I really enjoyed. It was years ago, but it was about which comics not to be or something like that.
That was Sean Donnelly, right? And Sean Donnelly and me, yeah.
And
Well,
it was you nailed it though. You were so on the money.
we caught
about-
some shit for that. Some people were annoyed with us. Yeah, we were
because
saying,
they thought you were calling them out specifically.
yeah, but we both said in the article, we're not saying we're not this. We're saying these are the comics that kind of exist, and we're just making fun of them. And like, I was like, damn, I'm a little bit of this one. We'd say that, I think, in the article. I don't know if they put that in there, but we were, yeah, there were all the different types of comedians, and I forgot who was it, Vulture or something. I forgot who wrote it.
Yeah,
but
it got like pushed around a lot. I saw it in a bunch of places, but the Patrice one really resonated with me.
what was that guy who likes Patrice for the wrong reasons or something?
Yeah, or like thinks he can be Patrice and doesn't realize that Patrice is kind of anomalous that way. Like tries to live Patrice's philosophy in his own life, basically.
Well, it's like, I always say this, and it's not just comedy, it's everything. It's movies. It's like, know the rules before you try to break all the rules, right? So when you see someone who's just like misogynistic and you're like, well, Patrice would say this about women, I'm like, yeah, but Patrice was really good.
Yeah, I always say it's like they're trying to do like black belt moves, but they're a white belt.
Yeah, you just have to. They didn't get what made the person good. It wasn't, misogyny is not what makes a comic funny. I mean, if anything, like Patrice was funny in spite of this shit, you know. So it's, I think, people that just think something is cool for the wrong reason. They're like, well, Patrice was so funny that I feel like so many people would like him, but.
And it felt earned with him. It felt earned through life experience.
But also, it probably held him back in a lot of ways, you know, like.
And that's part of the romance of
and
it,
all the
right?
people that are. What bugs me about the Patrice fans is the people who are like, he's the best. I'm like, well, where the fuck were you when he was alive? You weren't buying tickets on the road to see him. So many of these like fake fans are like, this is my favorite comic ever. I'm like, show me a ticket stub where you supported him, because
Right.
he wasn't selling like he should have been.
And it's like, and then when someone dies, it becomes so easy to kind of
Totally.
do the hagiography and be like, they were the greatest ever, because there's nothing.
And he
else.
was one of the greatest ever, but it just kind of bugs me, the hindsight, you know.
For sure.
Go ahead.
Go, baby.
I just wanted to ask about, because you're so prolific, like, how many
thanks.
specials do you have?
I've done, I don't know actually. I did a half hour, which was an album. That was one. I did Positive Influence. I Got This. I did the Rooftop one, and then I did the most recent one on Netflix, which is Same Time Tomorrow. So I guess five.
Yeah, because especially like during the pandemic, you just kept going.
I was so unhappy. I mean, it was like, that's a good motivator.
But I could feel your compulsion in it. I was like, this guy
Yeah.
has to be on stage. He has to
Yeah.
be telling jokes.
It's really a sickness. Like I was literally, I'm like, I'm going where pigeons go for attention. I'm going to parks and roofs. This is so sick.
I think it's
And
awesome.
I was really unhappy.
Yeah.
And that's a great motivator. Happiness is a great way to take your foot off the gas. And I'm not saying you should but anytime I find myself being happy, I'm like, holy shit, I got to get back to.
You're wary of it.
I love stand up so much, and I get probably too much of my fulfillment comes from a new joke. So it's probably, people would say it's unhealthy, but I mean, it keeps me feeling pretty good usually. So.
And is that before you deliver the joke? Like, is it when after you wrote it and you feel like you've cracked it, or do you have to take it out to people first to really get that?
I
hit?
don't know I cracked it if I haven't tried it yet. You know, it's like, that's the weird thing about comedy is you're like, is this good? But Yeah, I had one hit the other night, and it was like a really good. I was on like I felt like a cold streak, and I said this to my friend in conversation. I was like, "Is this a funny thing?" I have a friend Chase who's like he's a non-comic, so I run all my new ideas by him, like because he's not a comic, but he's a snobby listener. So he'll be like, "This is funny or not?" And I ran it by him, and he was like, "That's funny," and I was like, "Okay, he thinks it's funny, so that's rare. So let me."
It's nice to have those friends too, because sometimes I think when you run it to a comic, they have such a defined point of view on it that they try to make it their own style of joke.
Yeah, I think that's the hard thing. People run bits by me sometimes, and I have to like. Mark Norman's one of the few people that I can be like, I've known him for so long. So we were like open micers together. So I know Mark's style so well, and we were like writing together when we were kids. So it was like we'd be in coffee shops like, is this something? I just know his voice so well. And then guys like Joe List or like comics that I started with, I just kind of know what they're doing. So that's easy for me. But sometimes people will be more character based on stage, and I don't know how to help. I've had like really good comedians who I just can't really help.
So like all time, who do you think would be your favorite comic to write for?
I couldn't really, I don't know if I could write for anyone, but I could help with like, Mark or Joe List or
Dangerfield?
I don't know if I could. Yeah, I could probably figure that out. Yeah.
I feel like that'd be a good fit.
I'm trying to think of I like observational comics too. I love Dangerfield. I would probably like to write for like, I wouldn't be much use with Dave Attell, but
he's your hero, right?
Well, he's just so nice to me when I was a young comic and so helpful, and he's so good.
And the most purely funny person I think I've ever listened to.
I've never been around a funnier comic in my life, so and funnier person. He's a good person.
And
so
his brain's fucking insane. Like he thinks in like ridiculous poetry, but it's always about like gross stuff. But there's so much imagination in it.
He can do clean shit when he wants to, so he'll do clean jokes. I mean, he is the best at comedy.
Yeah, his first HBO half hour has a lot of clean jokes. Like he talks about cleaning his ears with Q-tips and then picking up the phone and almost killing himself. And I'm like, dude, like it's brilliant. And there's nothing, you could play that for anybody.
Yeah, I love him. Of my peers, those are two guys, Gary Veeder, who tours with me a lot. I love how he writes jokes. They're just like, he's almost like, put him in a fucking suit in the 50s and these jokes would be killing,
Yeah.
So I love that. And I have so many friends like that who I'm like, these are the types of jokes I like.
Do you think that, because you came up with Joe and Mark, do you think that you guys shaped each other's style?
Well, Joe's been doing it longer than us. Joe will like blame alcoholism for putting him in our class.
Yeah.
He's like, I shouldn't be here. Yeah. He was an alcoholic for sure.
Puts him in good company with comedians.
Yeah, no, I don't know if we shaped each other, but we pushed. You push each other when you're. I always tell young comics, like, surround yourself with comics who you think are fun to hang out with and funny and who work really hard, because, if you're not around people that are like Mark was a psycho with just doing stuff to his own fault. Like Mark would be doing some open micer in like South Carolina's podcast, and I'd be like, you can maybe say no to this one.
Yeah.
And then I'm getting hit up by some open micer like, Mark Norman's been on it, and I'm like, fucking prick. Now I'm expected to do every dumb thing you do.
Yeah. That was us this week.
We feel that with each other too. Yeah. There's that healthy competition where it like just raises your standard a little bit.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like, you want your friends to succeed. So it's not like real competition. It's but it's a thing where you're like, well, he's got a new hour, I should probably come around.
You want people around here to make you better.
This is the standard, I think. And you have your friends that are pushing it. And Mark and Joe were always very different styles of how they work. Like, Joe would take more time off, but he'd come back with all this new material. Mark would never take a day off, and he would have his material. I mean, they both wrote a ton. It was just different styles.
Do you write every day?
Dude, I wish I was better. I used to be so much better. I do something every day. Like, I'll come up with, try to do topical jokes, or but like jokes that actually make my act are, here.
You seem so like word precise, but are you able to just write on stage?
No, sometimes if it's a longer bit, I can't just write out like a story. So I'll write out beats and I'll know where it's ending up. But if it's no, I like shorter jokes. I have to write out for sure. I was reading off my notes. Sometimes at the Cellar, I forget that I can it's so ingrained in you to kill, but I'm like, I've earned that I can fuck around a little here. And also when I'm fucking around, I'm almost doing better sometimes. The looser I am, the better I'm doing.
Right.
And I just took out my notepad the other day and started fucking around at the Cellar, and it was a lot of them were hitting, a few would miss, and when they'd miss, you'd kind of riff on that, and that would save it, and then you feel so much better. I get in that dangerous mode when I have a new hour that's not like there, but working.
You get stuck to it?
I don't want to say I take my foot off the gas, but I almost like start running that material into the ground.
And then it loses that spontaneity when you're in front of a crowd. Like, they can feel that it's a bit rehearsed.
Absolutely, yeah. And you have to find ways to make it fresh. So like, I would see like, someone like Dave Attell, he would like do a different punchline on a joke that worked, but he would just be bored with it, and he would just be doing,
I've heard that so many times. Like, Maron and Burr have both talked about how he'll almost ruin a good bit because he has that relentless like craft to him where he has to be constantly reshaping things.
Well, it's keeping it, I learned this from Dave too, is like he would be so bored, I think, with just the jokes that worked, that he would bring whoever was hosting on stage and riff with them, and I think he would find jokes that way. So I started liking to do that. I started like, oh, Dave does this. What we do is like, why is New York comedy so good? Is because of the culture and because of guys like Dave Attell and Colin Quinn who are always writing new jokes. So, you talk about Mark or Joe or myself, we'd be like, oh, this is what you do. You write, you write all the time.
And how lucky is New York that like Colin Quinn and David Teller are like the guys, and they both seem so pure of heart.
They're accessible. They're like, if I like I remember I got in trouble like 10 years ago over a rape joke I made. This blogger was writing these hit pieces on me and got picked up on all these websites.
Was that the same blogger who like took down never mind, keep going.
Well, it was just, it was coming at me for a long time, and these pieces, and I remember being like, here's my response, and I asked Colin if I could send it to him, and he like read it and was like, I love this, I would take this line out, I like this. And you're like, holy shit, like I get to ask like, Colin Quinn. I was a kid at the time. I was probably like, I was in my mid-20s, so it was kind of like pretty cool to have that access to Colin Quinn's
someone with that gravity to
mind,
like be paying attention to you.
And just his sanity. Like, the thing about Colin is he's so funny, but he's also just, his opinions are so rational and right, and he articulates it in a way where you're like, I wouldn't have thought to put it in such a clear, he's so good at not just comedy, but at thinking. So you're like, oh shit, that's how I feel, but I didn't think to articulate it that way. And you take after what the culture is. It's like a sport. It's like, is the veteran in the locker room, do they have good work ethic?
Is it Udonis Haslam? Is it a guy who sets the tone, who's been there?
Or is it some dude who's like checked out? Yeah, I think I don't think LA is as accessible. I think that's the problem. Like here's the difference between New York and LA. No one's ever touched on this. But in comedy, at the Comedy Cellar, we're all closer than you guys are out here because we hang out at the table and we have dinner together, because we're doing multiple sets at the Cellar usually. So it's like, well, we'll have dinner in between the sets. So I'm meeting young comics, I'm meeting the veterans, everyone. And here you're kind of like, I have my spot and then I'm leaving.
Yeah.
So it's just not the same camaraderie out here.
It's the car isolation where I feel it too. I mean, because I'll go do a set and I'm just like beeline out the door. Because in New York you can just hang, and it's also too.
And you drink more in New York, probably because you guys are driving.
Yeah, you drink more, and every time I go to New York, I can feel it where it's just people stay up late, they hang out with each other.
Yeah.
In LA, and I'm kind of like introverted and like a little antisocial, so that's like my comfort zone, just straight into the car.
Yeah, I think a lot of people assume comics are going to all be extroverted.
Yeah.
I bet when you meet fans, they're probably like, oh, okay, right? They expect you to be like on.
Yeah, I was very self-conscious about that at first, because I thought I'd be like, oh, what's up, dude? You know what I mean? But now I'm much more comfortable with it, where it's just you're like really polite and nice, and then I think they respect that. So
yeah, I think LA. You got to do dinner at some of these clubs, because that's the problem. Is like dinner is like where you kind of bond with people. In New York is also. I don't really go anywhere but the Cellar anymore because I'm just lazy. I tour so much that I'm just kind of like, I live near the Cellar. I'll go up at the Comedy Cellar, but I'll do a couple sets there a night usually. So I will hang out with, and I like seeing whoever's new there. I liked that when I was a new comic. guys like Colin or Keith were like, oh, who's this guy?
Yeah.
And they kind of test you a little bit to see how you can hang and like if you're cool. And I like, you know, I don't really, it's not my style to really like kind of grab people and ball bust them, but I do like to like watch someone's set or, you know.
Right. Yeah.
See what's up, you know?
Absolutely.
I like being on the road and seeing your guys' video. I would see like in a lot of clubs, I'd be like your guys' video, and it would always make me laugh. Like the pranks you guys were doing, you know.
Thanks.
It was always like, I'd be with Gary Veter, and we'd be like, these dudes are fucking funny.
Oh, thanks.
And it was cool. Yeah, it was nice.
Dude, one of the things I really appreciate about you, I think I'm drunk now.
Good.
I think this fucked me up.
Yeah, I'm on an empty stomach too, so this will hit me easy.
Are you driving?
No, God, no.
I'm driving.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I live close.
Good.
I gotta go to Venice.
Oh, I'm going. I might be going. I don't know the geography, but I might hitch a ride with one of you.
Yeah. Do you have a show after this?
No, I'm done. I'm done. I'm just,
Yeah, what are you doing in LA?
Just hanging. I'm doing the Will Turn, so I'm there.
Dude,
Nice,
yeah.
dude.
That's gotta be sick as fuck. You're doing a theater?
It's nice. Yeah, it'll be good. I'm doing that. San Diego. I'm doing San Diego Thursday. Will Turn Friday, and then I'm doing SAC and SF.
Oh, cool.
What are you doing in Sac and SF?
SAC is the Crest, and SF is the Sidney Goldstein, I believe.
Oh, so you're doing all theaters now.
Yeah.
Dude, that must feel incredible, right?
It feels good. I really like it. But it's weird for me because I'm used to the repetition. So sometimes I'll be like, I'll do 12 days straight. And then my agent's like, you're off for 2 weeks. And I'm like, I'm panicking. I'm like, what do I do? I don't know. It's hard.
So now it's all big shows, but they're spaced out a bit.
I feel more comedian than I am human sometimes. And I'm like, when they're like, oh, you have all this free time. I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, I kind of don't know what to do with myself. So, yeah, the 12 days, my agent will be like, look, we're hitting like every city. There's only so many cities you can hit. You can't work 365 days a year.
Yeah.
But then
You have that reputation too, right? For like being on the road the most of like your
I wouldn't say the
contemporaries.
most, but I like the road. I've done this since I was so young that I kind of, now the conditions are so nice that I'm kind of like, you know.
Should take advantage.
Yeah, kind of like, well, I'm, you know, a nicer. I was the last, like, I remember my agent was at my show. I remember I did the Letterman thing here that was on Netflix, and he was like, you need to start staying in nice hotels. You're on the road every week. He's like, you need to stop staying in shitholes.
So you got genuine advice during a live like recording?
Yeah, he was like, no, he was saying this like after my no,
right.
Letterman didn't say that. My agent said that. He was like, you need to start staying in nice hotel. I had like a joke about like a La Quinta, you know, and he was like, you need to start. No disrespect to the La Quinta people, but he was like, "You need."
That one comes up a lot because Birbiglia talks about.
Well, it's a funny name. La Quinta K sounds always funny, but he was like, "Please start staying. Like you're killing yourself, and you need to start staying in nice hotels." So like, this is the first run where we're kind of doing it up all right.
So it seems like you have like kind of like a restless creative energy. What did you do with that before you got into stand up? Like, what? Well,
I've been doing stand up since I was 18. So you know, I was in college, and then I, you know, was doing this basically.
And so were you telling your homies I'm going to be a stand-up when you were like in high school?
Yeah.
Whoa. How did you know so early that was the path for you?
We did a thing at my high school where it was like it was community service followed by a presentation, and I love stand-up. So I was like, I'm going to do a presentation as a stand-up performance. So I just did it as stand-up for the whole school, and it killed. And I was like, I'm fucking on the fast
So you came out of the gates crushing.
Yeah. No, there I did, because everyone was like, I want him to succeed. But then I started doing open mics as a child, and I was horrible. I was so bad.
Because you had no life experience to
I had nothing to talk about.
Yeah,
I was a kid.
What were you going to bring to the table? Like, my mom fucked up dinner last night?
Yeah, I remember the jokes. And they were like, I look back, I'm like, well, that's like well worded, but it's not. Who gives a shit? So that's why no stand-ups really. Eddie Murphy's and Chappelle are like the two only ones that were really funny out of the gate. I knew how to write a joke, I just wasn't good yet.
Right.
But I do think there's something to being like getting to it that early where it does pay off in the long run. Because I'm
comfortable on stage because of that probably, but I was doing so many hell gigs on the road that I started to become a hack. Like that's the problem.
Yeah, so you got on the road at 23. Like, did you just start booking them yourself? Like, how did you get on the road so early?
I won a festival in Atlanta called Laughing Skull,
which is a big deal in the comedy world.
Yeah, well, it was the prize was the best prize of any comedy fest. Where it wasn't, the money was like whatever. It wasn't like a crazy amount of money, but it was the prize was like, we will get you booked at clubs for a year on the road.
Wow.
So sometimes I was featuring if it was like an A room. Sometimes I was headlining if it was like a B room or C room, which I preferred, honestly, because I would rather be the show. I'd rather be my show even if I was in the bad venue as opposed to being the opener in a good venue. But, you know, you got to meet cool. I remember I opened for Mark Maron when I was like really young. And you know, I was like, wow, holy shit, it's Mark fucking Maron. Like this is before he was huge too. He was playing clubs, you know.
His albums, like before he broke, are fantastic.
Yeah, no, I think he knew I respected him a lot, and it was like an interesting energy. I think he was so frustrated with just the bit. I mean, I opened at a club called Rooster T. Feathers.
Oh, San Jose.
Yeah.
Dude, that was the first place I went to see stand-up live, because I went to college around there. It was just local comics. I saw Chappelle in Oakland after that. That was cool.
Yeah, I mean, he was nice to me. I mean, it was encouraging. But, you know, you open for people early on, and they're encouraging. Like, Jim Jeffries was really nice to me when I was a young comic, and then he would, like, use me when he'd come to New York, and he would, like, you know, it'd be a bigger venue each time. And I was like, oh, shit, Jim Jeffries. Like, my parents came to see me open for Jim Jeffries, and I guess then it was called the Best Buy Theater, and it was a huge venue. So they were like, this guy wants Sam. Like, that was to them being like, oh, wow, this guy is validating our son. But, you know, he almost came to Thanksgiving dinner one year, which was hilarious.
Really?
He was too hungover. He couldn't make it. But, yeah, but it was, so...
Were your parents encouraging of, like, your artistic inclinations?
I'm the youngest, so I'm my mom's only biological son, so she was more worried than my dad. My dad had 2 lawyers ahead of me, so he was like, I'm playing with house money, I'm fine. But I think my mom was kind of like, please, you're the one I brought to the table, but don't fuck this up for me on some level. So, yeah, I think she was worried. I mean, I still hear from her, like, you'll never find a wife if you're on the road all this time, and I'm just like...
Dude, I gotta tell you,
whatever.
when I told people you were gonna be on this, my lady friends were psyched.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
They wanted me to tell you their names, so you keep an eye out for them. Talia Lichtenstein.
Of course, it's a Jew. I get, but you know, it's with my mom. She was very worried, I think. So that was
I had a similar thing.
A lot of fear.
I'm the 5th child.
Wow.
So my dad had a lot of house money. Like everyone's, but my mom's she's an artist. So
Mine too.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my mom was like, I know the art world.
I know.
Like, don't do it.
I know.
But now she's like super supportive. But I think she was rightfully worried. My dad was, which was interesting for my dad because he's like, he's so education oriented and like, you know, go get a secure job. But with me, he's like, yeah, fuck it.
I think my dad saw the weird shit that encouraged him was like, the New York Times wrote about you, and I'd be like, yeah, they said it was like bad, my set, and he'll be like, but it's the Times, you know.
Yeah,
he was like,
that's
he was
huge.
Like, I know. So I think he would see, you know, you get tastes. Like, you know, you do your first late night set, and they're like, oh, that's something, and then you do another thing, and they're like, that's something, and then at a certain point, you're like, I sold out this place, and my parents were like, wow, that many people paid to see it. So I think when you try, my dad is a lawyer, so I would explain to him like, you know, well, this many people came to see me, and he'd be like, what? They were impressed at a certain point. You know, at a certain point, things were going well. I'd be like, you know, I'd be opening for Amy Schumer in arenas, and they'd be like, she wants you. And I'd send them pictures just so they understood
The gravity of
where I was performing.
Yeah.
So I think at a certain point, I think it's interesting. It's like, okay, they could have had another lawyer, or they could have someone who's doing something a little different. But, you know, worst case, like, I told them, I was like, worst case, I think I'll make a decent living at this.
Do you feel chill about it now that you're doing theaters and that you're kind of like that you're not kind of very established, or do you feel like still like an existential fear that?
I feel pretty good. I'm pretty happy, and I'm pretty at peace with everything. I will always feel that fear, that, you know, just a creative fear where I'm like, is this going to stop? Will I have premises to, you know, make fun of? But I think, I don't think being content means you can't create. I think that was a fear I had for a long time. I think, even if I'm happy, I'm super irritable. And I try to remind myself, I'm like, well, Jerry Seinfeld still writes jokes. Things are going all right for him. So,
and is that irritability good? Like, is that part of the creative, like, energy?
I think if you're the Dalai Lama and you're completely at peace and you're just chill, it's harder to be funny. If you're,
I'm wary of that guy because he was minted from birth, right? Like they picked him as the Dalai Lama.
Yeah,
he didn't even have to do
anything.
It? I think they put baby.
I think you're Lama for life. I think that's
you're
his
born
tattoo
holiness?
on his chest, Lama for life.
And it's like they audition you as a baby, and if you pass through their like audition process, that's it.
Like you have cosmic consciousness.
And he's in the news right now because
for asking a kid to suck his tongue, which now their angle is like that's a joke that they make, and you're like, not a good joke.
Yeah.
Just some advice from a comic: don't ask a child to suck on your tongue.
We're just filming each other too much, though. Like the llama shouldn't be under constant evaluation.
Yeah, but also you shouldn't ask that to a kid not on camera.
No, I'm not supporting it.
If that's my kid, I'd be like, I'm gonna kick the fucking llama's ass.
Dude, that'd be badass. You threw your hands at the llama.
Well, maybe the llama got so sick of just meeting people and being his holiness, he wanted to fuck around.
Yeah, you gotta spice it up.
And now you don't have to talk to kids anymore.
Dude, yeah.
Right,
maybe he hates kids.
I travel too much to like kids. I just see them at their worst too often.
Right.
Yeah, airports.
My nephews and my niece are cute, but even my niece can be a bit much sometimes. You know?
Are you able to relate to them? Because I have my nieces and nephews. I can't even.
It's
tough.
tough.
Like, what's up? Like,
my sister's a very good mother, so I think like I see how she handles them, and you know, but it's tough. I'm so removed from that. I feel like I've lived two lives.
Right.
I feel like I've had this comedy thing's like another life. I'm like not what I was at all.
How do you mean?
It's just a different, like I lived in New York City. I grew up in New York City, and now I'm just like, I'm never home. I still keep in touch with a lot of people I grew up with, but don't you ever feel like comedy's like another, Seinfeld always talks about that, how it's like however many years you've been doing comedy, that's really how old you are. Because I do feel that more comic than human. All I do is work, really. So I'm always on the road, and I
think you very much embody that. I think you are like the comics comic.
Oh, thanks, man. I also just feel like I'm not home that much. So when I'm home, it's like a gift. When I'm home, you know,
appreciate it.
Yeah, I love it. I love New York so much. So it's like being home, go to a Rangers or a Knicks game. I'll I'll go to a Strip House. I'll go to a steakhouse in New York.
What's your favorite steakhouse in New York?
I like Strip House the best.
Oh, Strip House is the place. I thought that was like
I like
phrase
Keen's
for all steaks.
I like Keen's.
Is Peter Luger's like off the map now?
I like it, but it's just like they're phoning it in a little bit, I think.
They're living off reputation.
Yeah, that's like my family's favorite place. My dad always wants to go there.
It's the name. It's like, I think people
because my grandpa went there and stuff, and my grandpa had like one of the cards. He was like a big deal.
That's pretty badass.
It was cool. But I just like, look, they're still classic. I remember seeing like Henry Kissinger there. I'm like, that's who you want to see. I just read his book. That's who you wanted. Was it good?
It was. You get a little tired of it halfway through. It's just that might just be me.
But he's like who you want to see at a steakhouse. You want to see like a fat old Republican. You're like, that dude appreciates a good steak, you know? But Luger's is cool. I think it's cool, but I just think Keen's looks cooler.
What's the one where the hit took place out of? Sparks?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that was always the selling point. I remember I was asking friends, like, someone got killed there, and I was like, that sounds good.
Strip House is the coolest vibe, I think, but Keen's is legendary for sure. Keen's is like, they did a Billions episode. I love that Brian Koppelman and David Levine are like pure New Yorkers, so they do a scene. They're like, we have to do them ordering the mutton on Billions. So I was like, I like that. There's that. Luger's is the classic one, but Strip House is like red in there. It looks like a where like you call for a hit. It's a badass vibe.
Oh, nice.
And the steak is insane. It's so good.
What's your cut of steak?
We do the tomahawk usually when we go.
Oh, so it comes out chopped up for everybody?
Yeah. But I like a ribeye or a tomahawk.
What is the tomahawk?
Filet mignon is so overrated. What are we doing here?
Yeah, I think when you're younger, you like that one more because you don't appreciate flavor yet. But then as you get older, your palate is a bit more.
Well, it's fat, so you think you're getting a deal or something. But like ribeye is where the flavors. I like the fattiness.
Totally. Love a good ribeye.
What is the tomahawk?
The what?
Moscow loves a good ribeye.
Does he?
Oh, he's a big ribeye guy.
That guy, yeah, I like that guy, man.
He's the best.
Yeah, no, steaks are important. New York Chinese food is important. Like when I'm home, I want good Sichuan Chinese food. That spicy fish and chili sauce that gives you don't shit right for 2 days, but it's worth it. It's that good.
What do you think about vegetarians?
Live your life. Whatever is good for you. I can't do it because I just like. I
can't do it either. I respect it, but there's no way I could do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think like you want to sell me on like lack of inflammation. That's fuck it. I'd rather be inflamed. I want to eat well. I want to have. Steak I love, but that to me seafood is like my number one. I love eating like, you know, really good fish and like I love every type of meat pretty much. Chicken, fish, you know, everything. So I can't do that shit.
Going back to when you're a comic, you live a different life thing. I found this when I see my friends from college and stuff like that. It's like, do you feel like you're not able to or experience, it's like you're living a different kind of life from most people. Like when you meet people who have regular jobs, it's like they're like, oh, Coachella's coming up, I'm going to Coachella, the weekend's coming
it's
up.
awful.
You know what I mean?
If you want to talk to me about Coachella or something, instead just fucking kill yourself. I'm so maddened by people that think I want to hear about their trip to fucking Burning Man or Coachella.
Right.
Fuck off. It's like that is mental illness to me.
Yeah, it's like that kind of schedule seems
you think I think this is it, that you saw a band play? You think that's a fucking story? It's insanity.
Is it because it feels so programmed by like culture that they're not even choosing it?
Possibly, yeah. I think that's part of it. But also, it's just terrible. Like, you're torturing me right now with your story. I hate it. It makes me upset.
So what's the kind of story you would like?
I've had a story that has any originality to it.
Right, where you made a choice.
A beginning, a middle, and an end. Not just like, I saw a band play and I was in the mud. Okay, I don't give a fuck. You're crazy. Why would you say that out loud? Go do it. Great.
Right.
But like,
so is dating tough? Because you must be hearing a lot of those stories.
It would be tough to hear some of those. Like when you go out with someone, and I remember I had a woman say like, I went to Burning Man. I said, I don't want to hear about it, and she said, okay. She just bailed, and I was like, okay.
Do you think
God
so?
Bless you for your honesty.
I can't do it.
So you thinking like
I'm paying for the fucking drinks. I should be able to change the channel every once in a while.
You can choose the conversation.
Yeah.
Just go back to TNT.
Yeah.
So do you think in relationships and stuff? Because I feel like a lot of times girls or women, what they want they want to adhere to that kind of lifestyle. And do you find it's difficult as a comic?
I won't do that stuff. I can't. I travel too much that if you were going to travel, we're going somewhere good.
Right.
If you want to just travel to a shitty festival where I'm going to be dirty and don't get to shower and I have to wait for a shuttle or something, no. I perform to these things. I don't like going there for money. You think I'm going to go there for fucking leisure? No way. But I will go if a woman's like, if I meet someone cool enough to go on vacation with and they're not going to torture me, I have fear and it's based on my choice in women, going on vacation with these women because they're torturing me here at home.
It goes bad every time.
Right.
It goes bad every time.
Exactly. They're torturing me in my apartment.
Yeah.
I can take a walk in my apartment. You think I want to go to a fucking resort?
No,
where
you're
I'm
stuck
trapped?
together.
Exactly.
I've been in hotel rooms with girlfriends and been like, you're an alien. What am I doing here with you?
I went on a vacation I had a girl convince me to go on a vacation, and we went, and she picked a fight with me over a movie we saw, and I said during the movie, do you want to walk out? And she goes, no, you'll just finish it without me at a later date. And I said, oh, is that not allowed? Yes. Am I not allowed to finish?
Sometimes they just want to, they don't want you to fix the problem. They just want a little
I offered to
spark of
leave,
beef.
and she didn't want to leave. I said, okay, and then we finished it, and she really hated the movie.
What movie was it?
I don't want to even say, because my friend is in it.
No, what movie is it? Come on.
Red Rocket.
That was a great movie.
I know.
That was a great movie. Sean Baker, that guy's a beast, bro.
Yeah,
You got to cut that chick, man. She doesn't get it.
Well, it's over.
I love shit like that where it's one actor and then all real life people.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I am laughing picturing you at Coachella in full rave
It'd be
outfit.
awful. I remember going. I've done like Bonnaroo. I've done Outside Lands, but I went there to perform. I went there to do sets, and not my thing.
Is that part of it though, that it's hard to, when you're a performer, to go to something where someone else is? I mean, I like going to concerts.
If it's a concert I like, I'm fucking in. But a lot of them, I was like, this is like some top 40 horse shit. I remember going to Outside Lands, the Who played. That was pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was pretty great.
Yeah, and
if it's a classic,
most of those guys
band,
are alive too, right?
I'm
3 out of 4 or something like that.
I think so. Yeah, I that was awesome. No, I'm into it, but I also like, if it's my night off and I want to see something live, instead of entertainment, my gut is like, I want to go see live sports. I want to see the Knicks or the Rangers. I'm lazy, so like Giants and Jets are kind of out of the picture. Yankees game is a little far.
Sure.
But now that they cut down the pitch count thing, I'm like, I could see.
That's incredible. That's like one of the biggest innovations in baseball history.
I think it's excellent. I love baseball.
Have you seen Ohtani? How he like memorized his little internal beeper?
Is that your team, the Angels?
You know, I don't have a team with baseball. I did go I grew up in Orange County, so I went to the Angels World Series when they beat the the Giants, and that was incredible. It was such like a wonderful thing to take in. But no, I don't really have a team. I kind of float
around. I went to
around.
the park in SF. That's a beautiful park. I something so American about baseball that I just like. I know this generation doesn't get it as much, but like I still love baseball.
I saw Barry Bonds' 68th homer at that park. That was sick.
Dude, he was the fucking greatest.
When he was just banging homers, it was like you're just gonna see a dude in a kayak chasing the ball, and there was something so fucking exciting about it.
Yeah. Candlestick was a sick park too. That was the one before
beautiful.
it too. Yeah.
I love baseball parks.
Yeah, there's something very American about it.
I love doing very American activities. The hot dog, the whole routine.
I love it.
Is the best.
I love baseball. Knicks are my favorite one to go to, but I really have gotten into hockey this year because Gary Veter, who I tour with, is such a big hockey fan that I was kind of like, yeah, fuck it. The Rangers are really good. I've always liked the Rangers. I've always rooted for the Rangers, but like I've gotten way more into it this year, and I'm like, man, it's fun.
It's my favorite sport to play. I played.
Are you a good hockey player?
I played for 2 years. I was a really good skater because I have good hand-eye coordination or balance, whatever. But whenever I get the puck, I just get housed. But I love that shit.
Hockey's fun.
Yeah, but it's
To your Knicks, you guys are 1-1 right now with Cleveland.
Yeah, when does this come out?
It'll come out Wednesday. Next Wednesday.
Hopefully they keep winning shit.
Yeah, how do you see that series going?
Jeez, I'm nervous. They
Cavs have a stacked team.
They're stacked, and they just Okoro couldn't hit a fucking shot, and now they subbed in LeVert, who was like on fire, and I'm like, man, if he keeps. That being said, the Knicks were ice cold. I think we could still win it, and I love this team with all my heart. I met Jalen Brunson at a Rangers game.
He's a beast, man.
I fucking sucked when I met him. I was like off because I never get. It's funny. I did Giannis Antetokounmpo's charity, and I chat with Giannis, and I was cool as fuck. I was like on my game.
But he's not a Knickerbocker.
But I met Jalen, and I sucked. I was just off my game, and I was with Liz, who is the manager at the Cellar. And she had to like step in, and she was like, he's a comedian with a Netflix special. And Jalen was like, oh shit, cool. He was like really, but I was like, man, I'm burying myself so hard that she had to step in. It sucked.
What do you think about Dolan?
I mean, people shit on him so much, but he like, here's what I look at the last 10 years. I was praising the Phil Jackson hire.
Yeah, I thought that was good too.
I thought it was great. And everyone's like, shit, I'm like, well, we hired Phil Jackson. I'm like,
greatest coach.
The greatest coach ever. I think the Isaiah years were bleak, no doubt, but like he has hired Leon Rose, who's cleaned it the fuck up, and I thought Jackson would clean it the fuck up. So I think in my mind he was hiring the right people, and it just wasn't working.
Do you think he gets a little bit of a raw deal because he's kind of an easy punching bag?
Yeah, I do think so. Yeah,
that's nice. I haven't heard that take.
And he also gives me free tickets to games, so I love him.
Have you listened to the music?
Yeah, I like Better Find a Church. I like that he's.
I like that too. I like that he's a billionaire, but he's like, I got to express myself.
And
like,
he's at the games and he's watching. I like him for hiring Leon Rose, and I like.
What's
think
Leon Rose's deal? He's very connected.
He was
right?
CAA.
Right.
I like what he's done the last. Like I'd say, like
dude, they got a squad now. Randall's good.
And I say the Melo deal. They shouldn't have given up that much for Melo, but like, you know what?
That changed 2K that year. The Nuggets were loaded.
But you know, the Knicks shouldn't have traded for Melo. We should have waited for him to be a free agent because he was coming here anyway.
You know what the biggest mistake was? After you guys signed Amari and he was going crazy for that first half of the year.
Yeah.
You guys should have amnestied him, but you amnestied somebody else when it was clear his knees were gone.
Chauncey Billups.
Right. Chauncey was a beast back then.
I loved him.
Not at that point.
He was actually still very good with us. But then he got injured after that. But he was just clutch as fuck. Are you a big NBA guy too or no?
Not really. I'm enjoying the conversation.
I love basketball on like it's like a sick level how much I like it. It's I love going to games. I love rooting for the Knicks, and NBA playoffs are like, even when the Knicks aren't in, I'm all in. There's something about it.
This is the best team you guys have had in a while.
Sports are like, that's like my escape. Like when people are like, it's not important, I'm like, okay, well, it brings people together and it's an escape. So is an escape not important? I argue that. So I love watching the NBA, and I love all sports, but NBA is like really.
And I think you could argue sports is like, if you look at Jackie Robinson, Muhammad Ali, like you
so important.
What was his name? Tommy Charles and the dudes at the Olympics who raised the fist.
Yeah, that shit.
A lot of like iconic moments. I don't know how much like, like universal impact they had, but they're we remember him. Like I get educated on him as I grow
love
up.
it. I think it's the best, and it's like, dude, the NBA is essentially the WWE right now, where like the amount of drama and
The personality is
Really?
incredible.
it's phenomenal. It's like I feel like I've gotten so many people into the NBA, which I'm like proud of. I've gotten people I should be a fucking ambassador for it. I love it.
I mean, it sounds interesting to me now.
I'm going on Sunday, SAC versus Golden State Game 4 because I'm playing SF that night. So.
Oh, nice.
I was a SAC fan as a kid.
They're fucking amazing.
I was
right
a fan
now.
of the Peja, Vlade,
Who wasn't?
Mike Bibby team. I mean, that's when I watched it. Chris Webber. That's when I watched it as a kid.
We had Mike Bibby on my sports podcast with Julian Edelman.
That's incredible. You're doing a podcast with him.
We had and we also had Hassan Minaj come on because we became friends over basketball.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, that's where like friendships are made over this shit.
Yeah.
But Hassan, before I knew him, just came up to me at Gotham one night. Was like, I heard you're a big Knicks fan. I said, I'm a really fucking big Knicks fan. And he was like, I'm as big a Kings fan as you are a Knicks fan. I said,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
And we became friends that like right then and there. And I told him, I said, I think we're doing a Kings game. Would you want to come on? He goes, are you going to get a Kings player? I said, if we get Webby or Weber or Bibby, I can't speak anymore. Would you come on? He goes, I would love that. Like, those are my two guys. So
Yeah.
we got Bibby, and he was like, he was. It's funny seeing a successful comedian just become a child because they're so. That's how I was. Like I used to have a Knicks show, and we would get all my favorite Knicks from the '90s
Wow.
on, and I would bug out.
Yeah.
Who's
Did
your
you have
favorite?
Ewing on?
He was the only one we didn't get.
Oh,
You got Oakley though.
No, but I did a commercial with him once.
That
and
guy
he was-
tells stories.
He
man.
was awesome. We got along. It was. We did a commercial together, and it never aired, but it was for Bleacher Report, and it was funny as hell. And we just, I was like spent all day with him, and I remember being like, Charles, like, just so you know, like, I don't want to bug you with this shit, but the reason I love basketball is like you, Mace, Starks, Ewing, and Harper. And he was like, thank you, man, thank you.
He took it in.
Yeah, he was nice, and then he's not a good actor. Not that I'm Johnny Depp here, but he's like not a good actor. And we had a child actor in there who was just running circles around him, and he had too many lines. Like they gave him like hard lines. I'm like, this guy's a fucking athlete. He's not an actor. So
Yeah.
the director was like, you're doing great. And Charles, you could tell, was like getting pissed with the director because he's a competitor and he knew he's doing badly. So Charles was like, I said to him, what if we have Charles say just this one line and we have the kids? I like rewrote it, and he was like, that works. And Charles like turned to me, he's like, thank you.
Oh, nice. You did him a solid.
I did him a
dude.
solid. Well, I was like, I want to get out of here too. You
Yeah.
know?
And you wanted to help Oakley up.
Oh, dude, I have a picture of him with like his arm around me and a cigar in his mouth, and I'm like, I treasure like the amount of games that I just like. He was just pure blood, sweat, and tears personified. Like
He's a fighter by nature.
he was a dude that I had a lot of love for. Yeah,
Before we move on to questions, so LeBron, MJ, where do you land?
MJ, man. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's not
like,
close,
It's not
right?
close, but LeBron is
Incredible.
phenomenal, but he's just not as. First off, if we're just talking cool, no one's taking LeBron over MJ.
What is that about MJ? Like where he gets out of a car and you're like, that's the greatest human being I've ever seen.
Well, he's definitely not the greatest human being. He's like a degenerate gambler and and can't take a joke, but he's cool. I mean, he's
Right.
somehow still cool. I mean, the fact that he's not friends with Barkley over
Some slights.
Barkley giving a fair criticism of him as an owner, and he's like, I can't be friends with you anymore. I'm like, well, then you're not gonna have any real friends, bro. But MJ just as a player was cooler. Like, you walk off like this to just winning your third straight championship. Look, Jordan's competition wasn't as good as LeBron. There's no question. But LeBron, the way he fucking like just skipped teams around, like you just built super teams. It's just not cool.
But do you think in 200 years, if you can project out this far, like when people forget about what the moments felt like, when they look at like the counting stats, they're going to go with LeBron over MJ?
No, because the counting stats fine, but like, nah, Jordan's just, when you look at the footage, one of them is more of a killer than the other one. Like, sure, LeBron's got the most points ever, but like, I don't think we judge the greatest. Do we judge the greatest baseball player as Babe Ruth? I don't think he's really in the conversation right now. As great as he was, I mean, I guess Bonds has more homers, but you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah, who is the greatest baseball player ever?
I think Bonds has got to be in that convo. I know he cheated, but holy shit.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm trying to think who number 2 is. Like Willie Mays?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Mickey Mantle's an alcoholic, and he put up those numbers. You gotta give some points for alcoholism.
He was bagging up 2 at a time too.
Dude, he was so cool. I used to have my birthday at Mickey Mantle's every year in New York. That was like, and my parents were like, "This is garbage food. It's like trash food." But I was like a kid, and I was like, "It's me." Dude, I had a birthday at Walt Fraser's restaurant in New York one year. I was like so enamored by this dumb horse shit. But I love Walt's my favorite New York athlete ever.
Do you like his commentary? He's known for his colorful vocabulary,
I love him.
Right?
When he dies, a part of me will die. Walt Frazier is the coolest New York athlete ever.
And he like makes up words, right? Or just is very like
just phrases. Like Walt Frazier's the happiness he fills me with, I can't express it. Like when he misses a game, I watch every game, and when he misses a game, I'm crushed. I love him on a sick fucking level. I love him. And if you don't know who Walt Frazier is and you're listening, Google Walt Frazier pics, and his outfits alone, you'll be like, I'm obsessed with him. It's like a cow patterned suit or like a Bahama colored. Like he's the coolest player ever, and he's like I've met him a few times. He's a incredibly kind man.
Let's go. On
top of being the coolest, like that guy fucked on a level that's unprecedented in the 70s.
Like genuinely fucked.
Oh my God, yeah. And he also. He's nicknamed Clyde because he was that cool. It was like Bonnie and Clyde.
No, I'm doing Drexler.
No, that is Drexler. I met him once too. He was really cool.
Dude, you've met all these athletes.
Well, I did an interview thing with Drexler once, and he was very cool.
What's it like doing a pod with Edelman?
It's great. I love him. He's
Is it weird being bigger than him?
I'm not bigger than him, but I'm taller than him.
You're substantially taller than him.
I'm taller than a lot of athletes. I'm 6'3", so like a lot of great athletes, especially wide receivers. You know, but he I mean, I've changed next to him. I don't feel bigger than him. You know what I mean? He's a fucking tank. He's a massive dude.
And maybe the greatest catch in NFL history.
David Tyree.
Sorry, you're Giants.
Giants,
fan. My
baby.
bad.
But no, he's...
But Edelman's call after he catch...
he's amazing.
Where he goes, I caught it. And the defenders are like, bullshit. He's like, no, I caught it.
And he's also so cool. Like, I will, like, bring him out with me. And it's like, I'm just out drunk with him. And we're just wasted. And he's like me drunk where he's just... a good drunk. It's just nice to be out with. I'm out with him, and I feel like I'm out with like just one of my regular friends.
Oh, that's awesome.
Where he's so chill, and like I watch people take pictures with him, and then afterwards you're like, "Fuck you, go Giants," and he'll just like laugh it off. He's so cool. And then I brought him to the cellar a few times, and we just walk in like legless drunk, and I see Liz, the manager, just being like, "Ugh," instead of excited that Julian Edelman there, she's like, "I got to deal with these two."
Yeah.
So no, he's so fun. He's like, I love that he's like a cool Jew too. I love that he's like a badass Jew.
He's Jewish?
Yeah.
Whoa.
So I love that he just
him and Sean Green, Sandy Koufax.
Yeah, dude. But the fact that he just will like. And the fact that he's just so annoyed, like he's doing like pieces on anti-Semitism. I'm like, fuck yes. But we'll just roll into like an Israeli restaurant. They're like, Julian Edelman, you know? So yeah, he's the man. So I love working with him. And he's fun. He's just a fun guy.
Big time game performer. Should we do some cues?
Yeah.
Are you good at advice?
I don't know.
Oh, nice.
I mean, I'm drunk on a fucking Wednesday, right?
Yeah, that's good.
I don't know if I'm great at advice.
Dude, thank you for getting us drunk. I appreciate it.
I like it.
I got to fly tomorrow, though. I got to be up at like the ass crack of dawn.
Where are you going?
We're doing D.C. We're doing the draft house out there.
Oh, that's a good room.
Yeah, we did it last year. It was really fun. And it's cool being in D.C. You get to like go around, like he gets.
You guys
after
should both do stand-up, or is it like a podcast show?
Yeah, we do separate sets. We do like 30 minutes each, and then we do a Q&A after.
And you just switch off who goes first and second?
Yeah.
That's good.
We paper, rock, scissors at the beginning of every night. Sometimes we'll give it to each other, but most of the time we paper, rock, scissors.
Yeah, if like we have family coming or something like that, then that guy will get the last slot.
Were you guys tight before all this, or no?
Yeah, I mean, our relationship grew from working together, but I mean, at this point we spend almost every day together, so he's my brother.
Yeah.
That's fucking great.
It is nice.
Oh wait, I need to plug this in.
It's nice when you like who you work with. I mean, that's like everything. But you have to be kind of an asshole if you're working with someone and if they just really suck. I get it, but like, man, I feel for those people.
It happens all the time with duos, though. They don't get along, and like we'll have our moments, but for the most part, it's like pretty beautiful.
Yeah,
it's nice.
We gotta go headphones for this.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
I'm on it.
All right. Do we want to? All right. I'll just read through. There's 4: best movie theater, ex-girl's cousin, stimulants, dick, warm beer party, faux pas.
Okay.
Did any tickle your fancy?
I mean, I'm down for any or all.
Warm beer party, faux pas.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yo, what up, Chad and JT?
Damn.
So this subject is party faux pas.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I
Yeah, we
got
set
two
that out as a
buddies that are
right.
listeners named Noah and Nathan. They're bros, just like Chris and JT, so shout out to them. And they've done this since high school. They show up to a place, it's going off or whatever. They don't put their beer in the fridge or in the cooler. It's just like, yeah, and then, after we go through a round of cold beer, next thing you know, it's just warm. Nobody likes warm beer. Literally, name one person that would willingly drink warm drinks. Like, find a place, shuffle some things around, and put it in the goddamn fridge. So, yeah, that's a party faux pas.
Dude, thank you for your question.
Yeah, that's huge. I can't even understand like the logic behind having warm beer.
Yeah.
It's awful. I mean, I'll do warm. I drink a lot of seltzer, and I like room temperature seltzer, but beer is a whole nother thing. You need it to be cold to enjoy it.
That's punishment in like fraternities and stuff to drink hot beer. But you're close to hot beer.
By the way, that's
Yeah,
like
a
a
couple
chill
degrees
fraternity
away.
instead of like doing. That's like as bad as it gets.
Right.
I remember when I was at Tulane for like a minute. They were like it was like a CNN story. They were putting like scalding hot water on kids and burning. I was like, you guys are fucking like
Sadists.
Jeffrey Dahmer. This is insane.
They sound awesome.
Did you? How long did you go to Tulane for?
I was a freshman for Katrina, so I
wow.
left for a while, and then I went back just to be like, I should give it a shot, and it wasn't working for me.
Did you just go to stand up after that?
No, I went to NYU in New York.
Oh, you did?
Okay. And I didn't. It just didn't. The South just doesn't work. I love it to visit, but I can't. I'm just such a New Yorker. I need a. So I was handing out flyers and all that shit, and doing stand up. But yeah, warm beer is horrible. By that point you just like put water in the. Are you doing beer pong or something with that, or are you just drinking warm beer?
Dude, I don't know. The only time
housing it.
Yeah, the only time I'll drink warm beer is if I'm hungover and I need hair of the dog.
Interesting. I do Bloody Mary if I'm a hair of the dog.
Yeah, well, I'm just talking about when it's like early in the morning, you wake up early, hungover, and you just need alcohol.
Do you always do hair of the dog?
Yeah, that's why I don't drink that much.
Oh wow.
Because it's kind of a problem.
I love a good Bloody Mary. Like if you make it properly and you get all the good fixins in that.
You
It's like
spicy?
a meal.
I love spicy.
Dude, yeah.
Do you think your friends do it better or restaurants do it better? I feel like there's always a friend who has like the perfect style for it.
Yeah, there's always a good friend. I do like it if you're like a good brunch type place and they put like the horseradish and I love horseradish in general.
It's so good.
It's like Jewy taste buds where you're like, oh, like Jews have the weirdest taste buds where it's like gotta be pickled. It's like almost feels like sophisticated and like weathered, all our taste buds Jews, where it's like horseradish and like pickled and like smoked. It's all just like, oh my god, like your tongue has just been beaten up.
It's a little survivalist.
Yeah.
You know Bertolina, the guy who runs this place?
I love Mike,
He
yeah.
makes the best fucking Bloody Marys.
Really?
Oh,
He's
yeah.
a beast at it.
Yeah, he
I
brought
love
them to us
spice.
on the golf course.
We went golfing
So
with him.
nice.
Are you guys golfers?
Yeah.
We can dabble.
Yeah, here and there.
I can't golf.
No? I feel like you'll get into it. I can see that in your
I like
future.
basketball.
Right.
But my neck's fucked up, so every time I hoop, I'm just like in horrible pain for like days.
Right.
You gotta get
That's
on
what-
peptides, bro.
What's that?
BPC 157.
I don't know what any of this
I've been
is.
taking it. I wanted to disclose it on the pod today.
What is it?
It's just for muscle recovery, but it's like an amino acid like branch that you
Please,
you have to inject
please
it. though.
send it to me. Oh, is this like some Joe Rogan shit?
It's close. Yeah, I've heard him talk about it. I don't know if he's indulging, but I've been doing it.
Damn, I gotta get fixed. My neck is killing me.
I think it will
Yeah.
help. But
Yeah.
don't do it if you're listening.
So yeah, I guess for this beer guy, yeah, fuck your friends. Like, get some fucking real friends, or get a bigger fridge, or like, I can't imagine. I would just switch to hard liquor I'm just not a huge beer guy myself, but like, I like hard liquor and I like wine and I like tequila and like whiskey and stuff. But if I'm drinking beer, it better be fucking cold.
Yeah, absolutely.
100.
All right.
I like ex-girlfriend's cousin.
Yeah?
Yeah, I like a
Oh, that
little
sounds juicy.
complicated romantic pursuit.
Yo, what up, Chad and JT? This is Liam from Huntington Beach. Word up to
Nice.
714.
What up, Liam?
Fellas, got a little bit of a situation on my hands and would love the Archbishops of Stoke to help me out in these moral quandaries.
Thanks for the name.
Yeah, dude, so went out with some of my dogs in downtown Huntington and just absolutely guzzled some tequila and some Pacificos and met a super pretty lady, and dude, we just hit it off from the jump. Solid conversation.
I like this guy.
Macked on the dance floor. Absolutely just boogied to Akon. And dude, it was just a fucking sick night.
It's a beautiful night.
But yeah, dude, got her number and was like planning on taking her on a date and seeing where this thing goes. But dude, after a little bit of recon on the gram, actually found out she's my ex-girlfriend's cousin. Yeah, dude. So just wanted to ask you guys, is this something like worth pursuing? Don't think they're close or anything like that because I'd never really, heard of her while I was dating my ex. But yeah, man, I'm just kind of at a fork in the road. Not in the business of messing up with any family dynamic or anything.
All right. Ex-girl's cousin.
You're
what do you
fine.
think?
His cousin?
No way, dude.
Sister is fine, but cousin, who gives? I mean,
I think it's a no-go, brother.
really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's so many fish in the sea.
How many cousins? I mean,
But if one of
cousins
you-
are like, who gives a shit?
I guess, like-
see my cousins like once a year.
Dude, good
so
call.
so that's fair. I guess to me it's the
And I
golden
love my
rule.
cousins, but like I just don't see them a ton. I don't think it's like going to be a real issue.
I feel like if one of my exes fucked one of my cousins, I'd be a little hurt. I'd be like, you couldn't fuck another dude, you had to fuck my cousin?
I guess.
I guess it
don't-
matters more if they had met them prior, but
I just think
am I being
like,
too much of it? Am I being
I
too
don't-
sensitive?
Yeah, who gives a shit? If
be
any
down with
of
one of
my
your-
exes, yeah, if they're fucking my cousin,
No way, bro.
I don't think any of my cousins are a threat.
I think
What if you had a stud cousin, though?
I would say good for you. I don't give a shit.
That's a good attitude, bro. I respect
You're
it.
my cousin. All my cousins are pretty much married, by the way, except one, which I'm like, if she was fucking him, I'd be like, go for it. He's doing great. He's
Nice.
he's got a good
deserves
job.
it.
He's a good job. Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, I think do it, and then if it becomes a thing, then beg for forgiveness. But
Easier to ask for-
venture in.
Easier
yeah.
to ask for
Cousin.
forgiveness
I
than
mean, you can like
permission.
kind of fuck a cousin. Who gives a shit if like
I would.
Dude, yeah.
Not
Would you?
now, but there's moments in my life where I've been like, yeah, it's on. But my cousin wasn't feeling it.
Oh,
But-
damn.
Really?
But I would.
like a distant cousin?
No.
Wasn't like FDR and Eleanor, weren't they like distant cousins?
Bro, it's
I
very
think so.
recent. And actually, I was reading this book and I forget the name of it, so this won't help much, but the majority of the world does fuck their cousins. We're
Yeah.
actually
Really?
anomalous in Western culture that we don't.
Yeah, well,
'Cause
this
they
is
actually
some
think-
cousin fucking talk right here.
Yeah, for sure. I'll
I'm
stand
into
by
it.
it.
Yeah,
but I
let's
never
do
done
it.
it. But I think as an idea, I don't think it's as gross as people make it out to be in America. But I do think fucking your ex's cousin, that's a no-go.
I disagree.
fucking
I
your
think-
own
I
cousin?
think get in there,
Get it,
buddy.
brother.
I think
Love is love.
If it's that, I mean, like if it's that good, I mean, she got something in her gene pool that's fucking special. And I say,
Yeah.
if this one doesn't work, you fuck another one of her cousins.
Wow, you're
Dude.
an animal.
Because guess what? If it's feeling that good, there's something special in that gene pool. Get knee deep in that gene pool, buddy.
But they
you
mac
can taste it.
They mac to Akon.
That was
Yeah.
fire.
You know?
That was fire. What
Tequila.
Akon song do you think it was?
Dude,
Don't matter?
I can't think of any right now. Dude, I think No, that's Gwen Stefani.
That's Akon too.
Sweet
though.
Escape?
I think he's
That's
on
a
that
great
as well.
song.
Is that
Yes.
Akon?
I think he's on that
I
as
would
well.
mac to that.
That's a great song.
I'm gonna put that on tonight.
Gwen Stefani's good.
Dude, Gwen
She's
Stefani.
amazing.
Gwen Stefani, 97 to like 2005.
Yeah, that's like your
Best.
top. Who's your top? That
Oh,
Dude.
dude, big time.
I never have even thought about that, but after I just said that, that's my top.
she's hot. How
Who's
about
your
you?
top?
I got, you know who's at the top of the list somewhere is like we're talking USA earlier. Early Mariska Hargitay for you.
Oh, whoa, dude,
Dude,
you like
yeah,
a powerful
yeah,
woman
yeah.
who can get the job
I
done.
like that she's just no nonsense and independent and just wants to put away sexual assaulters.
That's
For
nice.
sure.
No,
dude.
she is so hot. And also, if you're hot enough to rock short hair, you're fucking hot.
And if you can go toe to toe with Maloney
Yeah.
and not get, outgunned, you
Yeah,
got
he's
some
a beast.
horsepower.
He's
Wow.
a beast. No, I like her. I don't know who I like.
Dude, I'll throw out a random one. Alicia Cuthbert.
Yeah, she was hot as shit.
2006.
You know,
Yeah.
they wanted her to get topless in The Girl Next Door, and she refused, and they almost recast her, and she was like, "No, I'm not doing it."
That's kind of an underrated movie. I feel
It's very
like.
good. Yeah, people knocked it for being a knockoff of Risky Business, but that didn't bother me at all.
But Timothy Oliphant, like that dude.
He crushed it.
And then Miles Teller's in it, right?
Oh, is he?
No.
I think so. Yeah.
No, Timothy Oliphant, like as like the bad dude, like that guy. I liked Justified so much.
So good.
I think that show is phenomenal.
Do you like Elmore Leonard? He seems like a
I think
writer.
he's
you dig.
phenomenal.
He's my favorite writer.
Yeah, he's
Dude,
great.
you can read those books and it feels like you're watching TV. Like
I
they just
know. Well, 'cause
fly
of the
by.
dialogue and yeah, he's a
And all the
legend.
characters are cool. Like it's so enviable.
The
You're
one,
like,
the one they never made a movie out of, which is a great one,
Tishomingo Blues.
Yeah.
Dude, me and my bro, we talk about this all the time. For the male lead, Matthew McConaughey,
Oh,
he'd crush that part.
well, they
or
never.
Channing Tatum
well,
now
they
because
never.
McConaughey's too old.
They never. I heard Don Cheadle bought the rights.
They almost made it a couple times.
It would be a great movie. I mean, look at all the great movies he's responsible. I mean, for the show Justified, right?
Jackie Brown, Out of Sight,
Get Shorty.
Get Short. Dude,
Oh,
it's
they're all
insane.
great adaptations, right? I mean, Jackie Brown's my favorite Tarantino movie. I know I'm in like the minority here, but like I love all Tarantino's
It's that
movies.
writer Scott Frank because he's a huge fan, so he knows how to write Elmore into a film rather.
I became pretty, friendly with this guy Chris Provenzano, who wrote like 30 episodes of Justified, and like he's the coolest guy. Said that Elmore was the coolest guy. I mean, Justified is fucking phenomenal TV.
It's
Just
incredible.
like the dialogue and like I love when a villain is kind of likable. Like this is like a fucking white supremacist. We're watching Walton Goggins, and I'm like, this guy's fucking fun.
Dude, I like Walton Goggins.
That second season was like
With
some of the
Margot
best TV.
Martindale?
Amazing.
She won an Emmy for it, I think. She blew everyone off. I mean, everyone killed it, but she like blew everyone off screen.
She
too.
was incredible.
But Timothy Oliphant's incredible.
He's so badass in that show.
It's
that's-
great, right? The writers on that show deserve all the fucking props. 'Cause
You got a
it's-
10-gallon hat on a 20-gallon head. I'm like, come on, bro. You can't be that cool.
Oh, dude, the
You can't be that
writing,
cool.
the dialogue was like the quotes on that show. There's a scene where Walton Goggins is trying to get into jail to kill the guy who shot his girl, and the dialogue in it is like, it's fucking beautiful.
He's the greatest. Yeah, I Cuba Libre would have been a good movie too.
Yeah, I never read that one.
Oh, dude, you'd love it. He's got the great thing about Elmore Leonard. He's got like 12,000 books.
I know. I gotta get into some of them. Yeah, he's phenomenal. There was another line in the show where he's like, "I'm thinking to go to Mexico." I don't think you like that. There's a whole lot of Mexicans there. It's just so many good lines. Now that the writing's next level.
But you know what? He'll say
Fire in the Hole is like one of the coolest stories ever.
I never read that one.
That was like the premise for Justified, which was it's like the first episode where he shoots him over dinner, and you're like, this is fucking phenomenal.
And he can write racist dialogue, but you can never call him racist because of how much humanity he puts into all the characters.
Yeah.
Like in Tishomingo Blues, the black dude's the smartest guy. He's the only
Yeah.
one who sees the whole chessboard. But it still like has stereotypes written into it. But there's so much nuance to it, you can't call him out for it. It's too.
It's thoughtful, and it's. I mean, it's just so fucking good. I mean, Tarantino has a lot of this. That's why Jackie Brown's such a good movie, because I think he just understood how to make like a scuzzy characters fun. Like you can write pieces of shit in a way where you're like, I want to spend time with these pieces of shit, and that's hard.
That's one of the things I really like about your comedy is that you without pigeonholing you seem like you're a liberal dude, but you're not a puss.
Oh, thanks, man. I mean, I just you are who you are, but I don't. I'm drunk half the time on the road, so I'm kind of just like
Freewheeling a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm never. I didn't get into this to not get stories. So you're on the road and you're kind of like, what am I going to do? Just go back to my room? Let me fucking live a kind of grungy life. And I think a lot of the comics who are like kind of trapped in this liberalism are not traveling the country. They're not meeting people with different mindsets. I think it kind of broadens you, but also reinforces some of your views by traveling. So I'd be at home and I'd just be, I'd be like, I'm bored. And then I'd be in like Springfield, Missouri getting fucked up with locals. And I'd be like, this is why I got into comedy, man. I'm just like hanging out with people and we're like having conversations or like arguments. I'm like, I fucking love this, I got into this to like see the country and to tell jokes to strangers. And hey, if they don't work everywhere, they don't stay in the act. So you kind of learn to, you learn to be yourself, but kind of a version of yourself that isn't like pocketed, like in, you know, and when you're in New York, I think you, or LA or whatever, and you're not touring, I think people can sniff that out in your act, and your act becomes, you know, one-dimensional and kind of boring.
Did you, when you got into entertainment, did you think of doing anything else other than stand-up?
No, not really. I wrote on a couple like failed pilots, but I didn't like it. I didn't really like doing it. It wasn't.
You didn't like The Room?
No, I did. I liked the comics and the minds that was around, but I didn't want to. I didn't like writing for voices that weren't mine, because I just was like, well, I like this thought, and they did something with it that felt not what I wanted.
They corrupted it a bit with like.
Yeah, and I was like, if I'm not gonna, I'd rather kind of go down. I thought it got to the point where it was going well enough doing it my way, where I was like, I'll just keep doing it my way, and if it doesn't work, then maybe I'll do that. But I also didn't like the idea of writing for a show where it's like, well, now I'm just waiting for someone to return my call. Whereas
it's brutal.
Where like with stand-up, I was like, I can kind of make my own schedule, and I can kind of
dictate the outcome a bit more.
Well, YouTube changed everything, right? Because like, or just the internet and social media.
Seems like you really kind of harnessed the internet around COVID. Like you putting out those clips on Instagram and stuff, and it seemed like you and Norman especially, like, utilized that time to really kind of skyrocket through the internet.
I was very scared, because I just put out a special for free on YouTube, and I put it out, and it was doing really well, but I put it out for free on YouTube on the hopes that I could tour off it, and I couldn't tour anymore, so I was panicking a little bit.
Right.
And I think it was kind of like, I didn't come this far to just fucking... So there was that fear of like, I worked so hard to get here. That special was like a chip on my shoulder special, because no one would buy it. So that special I got, this was on YouTube right now. I remember trying to sell it everywhere, and no one would buy it. And I remember hearing HBO wouldn't buy it, thinking HBO would buy it, and being like, just like, oh, my heart sank. Like, I was so sad. I remember my agent called. I remember I was with Stavros, who's one of my best friends, and we left a podcast studio. And I said, HBO just passed, and he was like grabbing, put his arm around my shoulders, like, it'll be okay. And I was like, I know, but it's like, that one hurt really badly.
We had like a similar thing. We had a show come out where it's like on Netflix, where it's like, you think, I fell into this trap of where you think like, because we doing our sketches and our videos and stuff, it's like the goal was to get a TV show. It's like, that's why I started, you know what I mean? And then you like get a show, and you think it's going to change everything. And it comes out, and you're like, it was good, and people liked it, but it didn't like...
Every clip that I saw was fucking hilarious.
Oh, yeah. It didn't, like, change your life the way you think.
I just don't expect anything to change anything. I think this is like a long game type thing now, which is, in some ways, you know, this is an endurance test now. And it's like, man, it's for the best. Like, you got to really work hard, and you really got to keep going, but... I'll tell you this, it might be for the best that it doesn't change everything, because Louis would always say this to me when I was like a really young comic, is he'd be like, you don't want this, because that's when you do this. You want this, because that's sustainability, and that's
and it forces you to rethink things and really grow in a way where even if it doesn't change your life, it changes you. And you're like, all right, what do I have to improve on to get to that next step?
And also like appreciating, I took my foot off the gas with the internet, because I always looked at it as like a stepping stone to TV, and that totally changed the perspective of that, of like, oh no, this is like where the power is to like really create a career. And then just getting back into that like you're talking about, like that high from creating a new joke or writing a new joke. It's like getting back into that, I call it like the open mic mindset, where it's like every day it's just about getting back into that creative mode, as opposed to trying to get that kind of big career kind of milestone, because it's all in the process.
The Carson days are over. I always think that, like, I understand that people are chasing the one thing to change stuff, but I try to think of it more like, just try to keep writing really good jokes and just put out a good special. And if I come up with something, I'm protective with material now, where I'm like, I used to always throw up every good topical joke, and now I'm like, I could put this in a special maybe. It's so
you're building to something that you think could be like your opus in a way.
I wouldn't say that, but I just am like, I don't want to burn stuff. I don't want people coming to shows knowing the whole set.
Yeah, and you're in a place where you can protect it a bit and wait for
I'm trying to. I was very. I really rushed a lot of specials because I was so scared.
But it worked.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, some of it worked. I think I look back at some of it and I was like, I could have lasted a little longer. Of course. But and I think you really got to put your foot down with your stuff. Like certain stuff I kind of let fly that I didn't believe in, that I was kind of just like, I didn't have the energy to fight. And now I'm like, I'll fight for fucking whatever. If it's mine, I'll fight for whatever.
That's a good mindset to be in.
But I definitely would like give in on arguments with stuff where I was like, why'd I give in on that?
That's really tough though, to know when to fight and not to fight on that creative stuff, because you're dealing with people who are smart and their input. I know a lot of people will disrespect notes and stuff, but all the notes we've gotten, I could see where they were coming from on it.
I know, but what I go back on is like, I don't mean to sound like pretentious, but I fucking know better than them usually. Like
you need to feel that way.
I've
too,
workshopped the
artist.
Jokes more than them. And I don't think of myself as an artist, by the way. But
what do you think of yourself as?
An entertainer. But I will.
You reeled that off nice.
But I will go on the road workshopping the jokes enough that I'm like, I know what works, I know what doesn't work, and I know. So if there's ever something where someone, thank God, like I'm surrounded by people now who don't really question that. I mean, look, they will say, here's what I think, and I always will want to hear them out if it's something that they're passionate about. But if it's someone who puts their foot down with me, I'm kind of like, I'm out. I can't do that anymore. I've been with people like that where they're like, where they're like, they won't relent on something, and I'm like, yeah, that's over.
I want to ask you, so many people think that like the contemporary times have changed the way performers are with like PC culture and stuff like that. But, and you've had good answers to that about how you've been more successful than ever in the current climate, so you've figured it out. But how do you think it's changed the audiences?
I think the audience thinks they know better than the performer, which is kind of funny.
And that's like a recent phenomenon, right?
Yeah, I felt that early on in like Brooklyn, where there was like this arrogance in the crowd where they were like, well, I know better than you. And I said, well, I might have worked harder on this thought than you did.
Yeah, they think they can critique your thing and come to it from a perspective.
They're more than welcome to critique it, but the arrogance in which they critiqued it was what bothered me. The way where they almost like didn't hear your side out of it. So
and believed in like the worst self of you.
For sure. And that's what bothered me, is when they were like, have a little faith. I've been killing for 35 minutes straight, and then there's one setup that you didn't like and you bail. But that being said, I get really annoyed when comics are just like blaming the audience or too sensitive. It's like, well, comics have been figuring it out for a long fucking time. I bet you could figure it out. You know, like that's the other thing is like, I don't know who's saying this. Like, I'm on the road constantly. The crowds are great. I mean, I think a problem with a lot of comedians is they fixate on the one annoying person in the room. And I think we sometimes give them too much power. And whether it be in the room or on social media, guess what? People on social media aren't going to like you because...
That's what they do on social media. They don't like things.
And if the joke gets traction, that means strangers are popping into the joke. And maybe those strangers weren't meant to see your material because that's not your crowd. That's fine. They're allowed to not like you. I think people not liking you is a sign of success. That means you've reached so many people that people are popping in that are like, fuck this guy. And that's great. That means you're reaching a lot of people. And I think people criticize, a lot of people hate Tarantino.
Yeah.
I think we'd all agree he's a fucking great filmmaker, but like people are like, fuck Tarantino. You know, he's a misogynist, he's a racist. I don't think any of us think that, but like I think a lot of people on the internet are doing that. Well, you know what? Let them have at it. Their hatred is getting more eyeballs on Tarantino, right? So I just think like, you know, the people that know you know your intent and that you're not trying to be a dickhead. And I don't give them a lot of power. I don't think they have any power on me. I think they're bored and they're sad. And my intent is to entertain strangers. So if they were like having a real problem with me, they should evaluate their own life and seek therapy. And it's like when the people are like really upset with you, they're like, I'm like, I've had people where they walk up to you and they're like, here's my problem with your joke. I'm like, that's something for you to take up with your therapist. I don't know how you found me, but good job finding me, I guess. You'd be a great spy. Talk to a fucking therapist. I don't care. I don't, and it's not that I don't think you're like a bad person, but I wasn't like wading around being like, I hope someone tells me a criticism of my show. I edit, but I don't edit based on this. This is nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
Should we cap it there?
Yeah, I got to run to a show, so.
Yeah, normally we do another. Yeah, you want to pour me a little more and then we'll finish it off?
Dude, Moscow just texted me.
Oh, really? You told him I'm with you?
Where are you going tonight?
I got a show at Townhouse.
Scout. Oh, that's a good venue. The one in Vegas.
You guys are easy
Yeah.
to talk to, by the way. This is fun.
Oh, thanks. Man. It was a pleasure having you on.
And dude, thanks for doing the pod.
I
Yeah,
hope
we're big
I hope
fans,
I'm not rambling here.
No,
you're
that was-
great.
dude, you're
great.
Cheers, guys.
We appreciate your opinion.
Cheers.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on, man.
It's easy.
It was a
We're
pleasure.
gonna be hungover tomorrow on our flight.
Are you?
Yeah, both of us.
Yeah.
It'll be great. No, life is good, man. It's easy to talk to you guys, and thanks for rescheduling. I'm a psycho Knicks fan, so I didn't know with the time change it would be the game, and I was like, "Fuck."
Dude, you gotta watch the Knicks. You guys are in the playoffs. It might not happen again.
Exactly. It's been a while. It's been a couple years, and before that,
Randall's a little squirrely. Like, can you really rely on him?
I love him, dude.
He's got great energy.
I love him. I love this team so much. It's sick. It's like there's a sickness in
When he
me.
talked shit to KG when he was like a rookie on the Laker team, have you seen that highlight?
Yeah.
Like the spirit he had
And
to
Kobe was like that's Julius.
That's Randall. He's a man. He said Randall's a man. And Kobe's not quick with like positive words about others.
Kobe, dude.
Dude, I have my issues with him.
I just loved him for being a psycho.
That's why we love him.
The way he approached basketball is like, goddamn. Like, how do you not love a guy for going that hard?
He had supreme belief in it, and I do admire that. But did you read
Him
that?
dying was like the beginning of the end. It was like when shit went south. I feel like
Dude, yeah, good
Culturally,
point.
yeah, that's when COVID
everything.
happened.
COVID happened. Everything. It was like, I remember when he died. I was like, how is this? I know a guy from TMZ, and he knows I'm a big basketball fan. He messaged me. He was like, Kobe fucking died, and I was like, are you kidding me? And he was like, I'm not. I'm so sorry. And I was like, it like shook me. Just as like
It was
fan.
one of those moments. I remember my roommate
As a
telling
fan
me.
of his influence and his greatness, I was like,
But God bless him.
I gotta go, guys.
All right, let's do it. Let's call it.
Guys, thank you for listening to that podcast. Make sure you check us out on tour. Make sure you check out Sam on tour. He's going to be in Baltimore, Maryland, May 12th, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, May 13th, Hampton Beach, New Hampshire, June 1st, and Portland, Maine, June 2nd. Go to his website and get tickets. It is some excellent stand-up. We know you're going to love it. All right. See you guys next week.
If you need advice, these guys are really nice.